Hey guys, it's Joe. So it turns out that you don't always know the actual state of your emotional health, as I learned last night. I released a couple days ago a video about Paige Van Zandt, who is a female MMA fighter who recently came out with a book entitled Rise, speaking about surviving horrible sexual assault in high school and living through that, and how MMA helped her. And she's gone on a couple shows recently, spoken about that. She's doing a book tour and talking to people, and there are videos online of her giving interviews to morning shows and news stations and things of that nature. And I made I don't want to call it a mistake, but maybe the mistake of reading the comment sections of those videos. Now, I am fully aware that the internet is full of trolls. Trolls are gonna troll. That's just how it works. And if you read any comment section of any video that deals with anything related to sexual assault, you will find that there are a lot of comments that are just disgusting. And I'm going to go into some of those in this video, so I just kind of want to say that this might be a triggering video because I'm going to get specific with some of the things that they say and how I misjudged myself. But I usually don't engage. Every once in a while I will. But as I was reading through these comment sections, all of the comments were appalling. Like, all of them were, she's making this up for attention, bitch deserved it, lying whore, I bet she loved it, where's the proof, I don't believe her, and it got so much worse from there, making broad generalizations about how women always lie about being raped, how it's all about regret, and just so on and so forth. And so I got, ready at my keyboard, and I always make it a point to be really respectful when I'm talking to people online, even though I'm talking to people online. And I began engaging with people and asking questions like, hey, why do we hold a frickin' tribunal online in comment sections, or honestly, oftentimes in person, whenever someone says that they've been sexually assaulted or abused or whatever it is, and sit back at our computers and pretend like we know anything about their life or their story and make these judgments on them and their life and say that, oh, they're attention-seeking whatever, and don't believe it. Like, what right do you have to do that, sincerely? And I put that out there knowing that I was going to have some trolls who were going to do some trolling, and they did. And I was able to go back and forth, again, in a semi-respectful way, and people said disgusting stuff, but whatever, that's how it works. And so throughout a couple days, I was totally fine. In a weird way, I almost see it as practice, because a lot of people really do think really messed up things about survivors of sexual assault and about statistics in general, about how many people falsely report things and things of that nature. And so, and they're also a lot more harsh online than they'll generally be in person. And so I look at this as like an opportunity to practice some critical thinking in the face of what makes me emotional, and to remain calm and rational and think through things, because I know that as I continue doing what I'm doing, that I will absolutely be engaging with people who don't think the same way that I do, and I want to be able to have educated discussions that don't become emotional and angry, because generally no one gains anything from that. But as the days went on, I was fine. And then last night, I thought I was fine until I realized at 11 o'clock at night, I'm sitting there on my keyboard, like pounding away at my keyboard, typing out a freaking paragraph of my life story to this one guy who said, every girl lies about being raped. They just regret sleeping with men. Like, I've seen this happen all the time. Like, 90% of allegations are always false, and blah, blah, blah. And I just was like losing it. I was just like going off and being like, you really think that's what happens? Like, you really think that women, or men, but that, I'm going to say women as a generalization, come out and say that they've been raped for attention? Let me tell you what happens when you say you've been raped, what happens is you run into people like you run into people who call you a lying whore, who say you asked for it, who say you deserved it, who say everything's your fault, who say you were lying, who don't believe you, who make you feel like crap. And you get like 5% of people who give you maybe a little bit of sympathy, which isn't that helpful, and compassion, and you run into some people in your life who get it, but then the vast majority of the time, you run into people like you who are horrible. And so I am like pounding away at the keyboard, typing out so mad, and then I accidentally hit a button where it deleted everything. And I realized that was the best thing that could have happened. I took a breath and I closed my computer and I just like silenced my phone and everything, and realized that this was actually getting to me. And that I need to take a break from engaging in those kinds of conversations, and that I can't dive in like that all of the time. So what I realized last night at 11 o'clock at night, so angry, so mad, so just like twisted up in my head and just like, why don't you get this, was I don't have to prove myself to anyone. Like, I don't have to convince random people on the internet or even anyone in real life that my story is valid, and neither do you. And I felt that way forever. I still feel that way from time to time, obviously, because it came bubbling to the surface last night. But what you experienced is valid regardless of the fact if anyone else sees it as that. If other people have told you, that doesn't really sound that bad, or I don't believe you, or, well, you shouldn't have been in that situation in the first place, or whatever it is that just gets in your head and makes you feel like your story isn't valid or real, or that you aren't valid or real, or whatever it is, we are absolutely susceptible to letting people mess with our heads like that, because we are a community species. As people, we thrive on other people, and like we need that connection. But at the end of the day, what other people have to say about your story does not need to define who you are, and does not need to define your story. You are the person who has the last say on what you experienced. And that's what I've been thinking about today, and realizing that I think I got a little lost in thinking that if I don't convince all these people that basically what I went through is true, that I never lied about anything, that no one I know has ever lied about anything, though there are a very, very small percentage of people who do lie about sexual assault, and I promise you it's a very small percentage. If you have any questions about that, please comment, message me, whatever. I would love to have the discussion with you. But you don't have to convince anyone if you don't want to. And if you feel that pressure, it's okay to let that pressure go. That's just what I was thinking about as I realized I had totally lost it last night, typing out my life story angrily on the internet to some random person who really doesn't care. So, your story is valid. You are valid. You are worth so much. And please, as much as you can, don't let other people make you feel invalid or worthless, because you are not. Thank you guys for listening. This is Trauma Talk. I am Jo. You all are amazing, and please take care of yourselves until I see you next time. Thanks.